Hi, this is Aaron from the Tidbit Cast. In place of a regular cold open, we'd like to draw your attention instead to a GoFundMe page, the Matic Community Fallen Angels, which is in support of two gamers who lost their lives at a recent shooting in Jacksonville, Florida. It won't make much of a difference, but the money's been given and divided between the families of the people, of the individuals who passed. Won't make much of a difference, but it will help two families. Thank you. Hello and welcome back to the Tidbit Cast. I am Aaron. I have
David.
And I have...
He has Gary.
I have a Gary and a David. It's a great day.
You had me at hello.
We're at Tidbit Cast.
You had me at goodbye.
You had me at hello and welcome to the Tidbit Cast.
What a professional opening. Right, we're at the Tidbit Cast. You can find us on all social media platforms. We're starting off with the social media platforms, aren't we?
Yeah,
we are.
Most of them.
Absolutely. Almost all of them, you might say. Not the ones like SoundCloud and all. We're working on those, but the best ones. You can find us on iTunes. You can find us on Spotify. You can find us on YouTube. All at Tidbit Cast. Right, so moving on to our next topic, I believe it is Gary.
It is.
Going on to you?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, we
are.
Right.
So this is one I'm really, really excited to talk about.
Oh,
okay.
Gary's too excited.
Right, so...
I was really tired about 5 minutes ago.
I know.
Right, I'm really excited to talk about, and he never guessed what I'm really excited to talk about.
Fucking Switch or some shit.
The games!
Oh, Switch!
Games! And this is not just about games, but all of the games that have come
Gary,
before.
could you explain to the audience what games are?
Okay, games... Cool.
That's all you need to know.
Right. Games are devices that have a mechanic and you're able to control them. They're immersive
I
experience.
didn't actually want this.
Right, they're immersive experience, but basically games usually have a set of rules, and within those rules you play games for entertainment or fun. Now some games have stories, and some games just have things where you make your own fun using rules, like Monopoly, where it just has a set of rules you all follow and a board that you've...
Gary, how would you make us hate games?
Right, so the preservation of video games,
Okay.
specifically.
Okay.
Okay, so now the video game history preservation.
Yes.
Video game history preservation is actually there's a foundation, the Video Game History Preservation Foundation.
Very accurate name.
Just the Video Game History Foundation.
Okay.
There's sorry. The Video Game History... I really screwed up that entire name. Right. The Video Game History Foundation is they're trying to preserve video games and the history of video games. So not just that they're trying to find older games, being able to make new ports of them, and being able to distribute them to a wider audience, they're also doing stuff like they have writers, and they have editors, and they have journalists who go out and they find old magazines. So not just like, for example, if I wanted to know what IGN said like 10, 15 years ago, I just have to go on the internet and find out, or GameSpot. Any of those sites have been out for a long enough time. What if I wanted to know, what did people think about 1988 Dragon Quest?
Are you
For
saying...
fuck's sake, Dragon Quest.
Are you saying they remaster
Or-
magazines? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, they take like those reviews and those impressions and like the old like electronic games monthlies, like the old EGMs and all those old magazines, and they scan them so you can read them online.
Oh, okay.
That is
Like this is also means that anybody who wants to study or research about these things from years ago,
Like you.
they just have to go, huh, at me.
It's only you.
It's only you.
But let's say, for example, I want to write about this thing, but it is beneficial because it means for historians and people looking back on it, you want to know now what this game is like. It's a cult hit. Or this thing is a retro game. But at the time, how did the game do?
Yeah, what I think
And the
like,
only
the
way,
second came out.
exactly, the second came out, what were people writing about? What were people thinking about this game? Like, was it a big game, or was it just that how we think of it is big at the time? So that's what the benefit of looking back at the history of it is, that you can see what the impressions of games are at the time. Like, us talking about Cyberpunk now may have been how they talked about games like Tetris or Dragon Quest. Or
They're a bit different.
The multiple endings in Tetris, I swear
know,
to
yeah.
the cool stuff.
Nobody expected a Russian game to be one of the biggest games in the world.
I still don't expect it.
Papers, please.
Papers, Please.
Oh, sorry.
It was not the biggest game in the world, it's indie. It did very, very well.
No, it was just a joke because Russian. Never mind. Moving on. Carry on.
Games, please.
Yeah.
So the Video Game History Preservation is a really good site. I donate to them actually, and I do encourage anybody who is
How much do you
interested to
donate?
look at it. I'm not going to say the numbers.
Enough.
Big numbers, big numbers.
I'm not going to say the numbers,
Get
but
big.
I think they're
2,000 a month.
I think they're very worth looking at.
Gary is running them. Without you, they just fail.
And it's only for him
I know,
anyway.
yeah.
The guy who set it off, Frank Cifaldi, is doing really good work, and he's really good people working behind him as well. I was listening to another podcast there on Frank Cifaldi, one of the people, Mike Mika. I didn't hear his second
Oh, I
name.
hope it's
Mike
Micah.
Micah.
No, I hope it is.
Oh,
it's
Mike
a
Micah.
great
It's
name.
literally 2 4-letter names. Like, it's Mike and it's Mika. And it's like,
Micah.
I don't know, it looked like 2 mics. And it's like, my mic?
Eminem, Carol.
Eminem. And one of the articles I actually looked on the website, and they have writers who write about certain stuff, and they also go to old advertisements that were in black and white, and they also try and get the old ones and be able to rip the videos and restore them and put them back online to the public.
That is cool.
So one of them that I looked up, one of them that I found, it's now on YouTube. If you look up the Magnavox Odyssey, this is before Pong.
Jesus.
This is that ancient.
Soon to
Okay?
be ported to the Switch.
To be exact, September 1982.
Dinosaurs played this game.
Off the top of my head, September 26, 1982 was when the first advertisement for the Magnavox Odyssey.
Oh my god!
How do you know everything?
You show us up every week. I come with a fucking notebook with little bits and pieces in there, and you're like, my brain.
I just show up.
Right, this is how old it is. The advertisement that they showed, Frank Sinatra is in it.
Oh my god!
Old Blue Eyes
No, I
is...
said Dragon.
But stop. No, this is not you go.
Did Claire go play?
Shall
Oh,
I mention?
Frank Sinatra is in... Right, this is before... This is the first video game console. This is before there is even video game consoles.
Wait, was this before the PlayStation 2?
Right, jokes aside, this is before even like the concept of being able to play a game on anything apart from like a board game is a thing.
Okay.
Or, you know, like hide and seek.
Monopoly's still amazing, it is.
Loved it.
It is.
Yeah, it's okay.
What the fuck is... Yeah,
Alright.
it holds up.
Fair play,
The
Thunderbirds
graphics
Monopoly.
are amazing.
Thunderbird's Monopoly.
Thunderbirds
What?
Monopoly is definitely the peak.
I think it is.
No, really
when
took off.
And when I say Thunderbirds Monopoly, I mean Thunderbirds movie Monopoly. The Thunderbirds movie that came
Even
out.
better.
Do you remember that one?
Which
Yeah.
one?
The one that had Ben Kingsley.
Oh, you mean the live action one?
Yeah.
Oh my fuck.
That's what you want.
Anyway, but to
Back on topic.
get back to preserving great video games, like great games. But the Magnavox Odyssey, you can look if you look up Magnavox Odyssey. What's my line on YouTube? You'll find this. Do you know what What's My Line is?
Sounds familiar. Is that a TV show?
What's My Line is a TV show. It's a game show.
Yeah.
And the entire point of it is that they get on different guests, and each of those guests have a unique or out of the ordinary job. And you have to guess what the job they do is.
Okay.
And the person who came in was a product manager, I believe is a product manager, but one of the people who was in charge of distributing the product, the Magnavox Odyssey. So, video games were not a thing at this time. And this is also 2 weeks.
No one guessed the show.
This is filmed 2 weeks before the advertisement for the Magnavox Odyssey
Yeah,
came
so
out.
no one could guess the show.
The only thing like closed circuit systems were not a thing. By that I mean the only thing you ever put into your TV was an antenna before this. This is before VCRs, right? This is 1982. Before VCRs.
It's a long fucking time ago.
So
essentially.
the only thing you ever put into your TV is an antenna. And then imagine that you're going on What's My Line and they have to
You're
guess
plugging
something.
stuff in TVs.
Yeah, and so they're watching these people, the host and this guy, start to fiddle with these controllers, and they're there with the controllers working on them. It's like, and they can't see the TV, and they're like, so you're using that device to input something. Are you controlling the image somehow?
Alien.
Are you controlling the image somehow? Are you manipulating an image, or is it, because there's no frame of reference before this? There's no way of them knowing what the hell
It's
they're
like a
talking.
time traveler came in.
Yeah, it's so cool to see these people figure out for the first time what a video game is
I
live.
remember talk shows in the morning, early morning talk shows when like the internet was going on, when it was becoming a big fucking craze and no one had any clue what it is, and they're all worried that it's a threat. No, what is the internets? All this horrible shit.
Really, yeah?
Carry on. Yes. Carry on.
So I really liked. You can find this. It's about a 10-minute clip where you can watch these people try and figure out what the hell a video game is. But it's that But then it's also the cool ideas that they had with it, where it could only work on an 18 to 25 inch screen, they said. And the reason they said that is because how you used it was you had 2 dials, right? Just imagine these round wheels, one the left, one the right. Don't know why that made sound. Oh, Facebook. Well done, David. You're popular.
I am popular.
There are 2 dials either side of this controller. And all that it does is that it controls a square. You move one dial, it goes vertical. You move the other one, it goes horizontal. And so it's a square. And there, when you put the plastic overlay, that's why it's 18 to 25 inches. When you buy it, you get these plastic covers that you tape onto your TV screen, and they're see-through, they're transparent. So the square, you just move it because it just puts, like if you're playing tennis, it just puts a white line. You put the plastic overlay, it puts a see-through tennis game, and then the 2 squares move within the boundaries.
The graphics are amazing.
No, it's that the only graphics are the 2 squares and the other square that you're hitting for the tennis, and that's it. And so that's why they say only 18, 25
So
inch
wait,
screens.
was a new square like DLC?
Oh my god.
Microtransactions.
DLC. Yeah, you got extra plastic.
Yeah.
Now we can work on even bigger screens. But
Bigger squares.
I just love the idea, and they also got like you go along the line, which I'm just imagining if you put the plastic over like slightly wrong, can you imagine like trying to do like you're trying to like follow the dotted line exactly, almost like, do you remember Buzz Off? Or one of those where you get you get the metal thing, and if you it's one of those carnival games where you get like a metal hoop and you try and put it around the metal, and if you hit like the sides of any of the metal, David, your computer's going fucking crazy.
Yeah, it is.
Right, if you hit any of the like metal wire, it just at a carnival. So if you were finding like anything like slightly off, I'm just imagining like people were really annoyed about this. But also this is the first time, so it's not as if you can complain about it and say, yeah, well this game did. Oh, there's no other games.
Nothing to compare it to.
It's the classic no matter what.
To compare it to, because
It was the best and worst game.
It is. Oh my god.
Yeah,
Blow my mind.
think about that.
Yeah.
This is before planning, before all those, and I think the idea of video game preservation is important, because there are a lot of games that should be preserved, and there are a lot of games like, even when if you think about the mid 2000s and phone games that are on Java, that were just on your phone and on the internet, most of those are lost to time now.
Yes.
Most of those will never be played unless you get a phone that actually has the game downloaded.
A lot of people still have old phones.
Yeah, but do the sites still run where you would download those games?
No.
That's what I'm wondering, yeah.
None of them run anymore. They were like dedicated ones that went with your phone, because you were very limited in what you could actually search up. You were really limited. So all those, there's like thousands of games that you're not able to play anymore. And even going to a recent example was there was a port to the Switch.
Of course, it
called,
has to be Switch.
No, but this is called Sky Skipper. Right?
Okay.
It's a big piece of plastic you put on your TV.
You put on your
Sorry,
Switch.
I said the wrong date. 1972
Oh, Jesus.
is when
Gary,
the Band of
we need to
Fox
start
Odyssey.
again. You ruined it.
Yeah, sorry, it's
Ruined the whole thing.
1972. I think I said the wrong one.
Are you
before.
expecting people to sit through 10 minutes of knowing you're bullshitting? On the
Right.
podcast?
Yeah, as if anyone's going to call me out on that.
They're all
that.
you have that one
Gary
fucker at home.
just lies with such conviction. You believe him.
Right,
Actually
so
did.
in 1972
Back to the start.
was when the Band of Fox Odyssey. But anyway,
In the beginning.
in
With squares.
1982, they released Sky Skipper, the same year as Donkey Kong, which came out later that year. Sky Skipper is a color trip of just everywhere. There's just colors everywhere that make no sense. There's no sense of actual color theory or design.
Just colours.
Let's put fucking colors everywhere, and it's just you in an airplane side. You're in an airplane side scroller in a biplane, and there's these giant apes that you're trying to avoid.
Colourful apes.
And like it's all like neon, like blue is the background. There are platforms which are pink, like neon pink. The enemies are like brown and like a dirty brown and like a tan. And it's just all these colors out of nowhere. It's like, this is neon, this is dark, these are muddy colors. There's no sense of actual theory about how it works. And this is an important game that we should preserve.
Is it though?
Is that your point?
It's colourful. It's colourful.
Because this game came out before Donkey Kong. So this
And there's
means
no colours in that.
Conky down.
so that means that Nintendo didn't have a hit video game. So this is part of their lineage. This is something that came out before they had Mario, before they had Donkey Kong, before they had their big names. They had Skyscraper.
Wait, did you say this has been ported onto the Switch?
Yeah. So this
Okay.
game, but before
being
that,
reserved.
it wasn't.
Yeah, exactly.
You've
But
won.
that's the thing. Before
There,
that,
you're a winner.
but that was about a month and a half ago, and before that, there was no
Nothing.
talk about this game for almost 30 years.
Jesus. Okay.
So it's that these games we will not hear about, people will not talk about them, and it's just like, oh, this game was 1982, before Donkey Kong, and that we're not able to find a lot of those games now, until somebody just out of the blue, Nintendo just went through their archives and just released it. And apart from that, we would never see this game. That's why
I think
this-
people asked for this, did they?
some people may have, but it would be like very close communities and very niche people.
Yeah.
Like people who own a Switch. Sorry.
All three of them.
All three.
The best-selling console in the world.
The PS4.
Yeah, come on.
No, it is the fastest-selling console.
Oh, okay.
The Switch is the fastest-selling console. Just
Is it though?
No, it actually is. It's by numbers.
Is it?
I refuse to believe the
They
numbers.
sold out the 2 ones they had in stock.
Yeah.
Only
They
count.
said- in America, they've said no. Like within like 10 months, it was the fastest-selling. No, I'm not getting into this.
Yeah,
it's,
we're
about,
not-
it's about video game
Yeah.
preservation. Stop talking about the Switch.
Okay.
We're not.
All of you, stop talking about it, okay?
You'll be okay there.
You're constantly saying it without pause.
Yeah.
Okay.
So about the
Switch
Switch, yeah.
But I love the idea of these sites that are going out and being able to find these old relics and old games which are important to find. Because when I think of even new ones that are coming out, or like what was a recent one that I'm thinking of, Octopath Traveler.
Yes.
Yeah.
Octopath Traveler had the idea is that there's 8 people, right? 8 different roles you can choose.
Yeah.
There's
Octopath.
there's
Jesus,
another
David.
game that did that.
Did you know this? Did you?
Yeah.
Okay, grand. Never
There's
mind.
another game that did that, which is Might and Magic 4, I believe.
So
Or was it
4 characters.
There's Might and Magic 4 Ultimate 4. Yeah, it was Ultimate 4. Right, in Ultimate 4, the idea is that you have several different characters,
4, I'd say.
and just like in Octopath Traveler, what you do, and imagine that was a lot of their inspiration for Octopath Traveler, is that this game
So they
came out,
plagiarized it.
it came out in the 90s,
yeah.
and the idea of the game is that you pick one character in the 90s, early 90s, you choose a character, and it's an open world, and you can get the characters in which order you want, but at the beginning you choose your one character based on a personality test. You take a personality test, and it chooses your character for you based on who is closer to the personality.
Oh my God.
That sounds like a lot of work.
That's a lot of work.
And then
I just want to play.
you get to go and find the other 7 characters in the early 90s. Like that is something I would love to go back and see how they did that
You have to do a test and then find 7 characters.
with limited technology.
lot.
With very limited technology compared to what we have now. I think that's amazing. Like the creativity in a lot of these games back then is something we can go back to. And then there's also the recent retro revival that we're seeing now.
Yeah.
Didn't something spin for Dragon's Quest 9?
Dragon Quest 11 is coming out.
Oh shit.
Wait, is it actually 11?
Dragon Quest 11 is coming out. It was already on PC.
I thought there were like 4 of those
It's
games
coming out on
now.
PS4 soon, and it was delayed for Switch
Okay.
until early 2019. But that's
Thank
a game.
God.
But that's a game that's coming out very soon on PS4, and there are already reviews coming out of it in the last week, which will tell you how soon it's coming out. PC, it's been out since last year. I've just been trying to figure out the ports to it. That is, again, that's a lineage that if you want to go back to that, Dragon Quest is the first top-down dungeon crawler RPG.
Yeah.
Well, I used to play
That
a lot.
cemented that genre.
I used to play a lot of my Magic games on my phone. Growing up, I mean, like I had a phone from like what my confirmation. I believe?
Yeah, it's the same.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
12, 11.
Yeah, something like that. And I was even younger because in my school they used to not do confirmation one year and the next year 5th and 6th class do it together.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was in quite a small school, so we do that. So I think I was in 5th class when I got.
So you're
a
about
phone.
10 or 11 then, yeah?
Maybe, yeah. I think it was too young to have a phone, but Jesus Christ, I found a way to download games and all. My €20 credit, and like, I wouldn't use it for any fucking credit at all.
Just
They would
games.
go right as the games, yeah. And
Of course, I did the same thing.
yeah, my Magic was I used Zedge and all that sort of shit, downloading everything, yeah. But it was, what you call it? I can never remember how to find those games. I don't know if I could ever find out what games I actually played. I don't know what it was that I touched. I know it was Might and Magic.
Are you saying it's hard to find those games from so long ago? If only there was a way to preserve them and distribute them to the public.
That'd be really handy, wouldn't it?
What a segue.
Someone should do that.
And yeah, somebody should do that. And a very good example of someone who does that is the Video Game History Foundation. Which actually, I'm going to give you a piece of trivia, which I don't know if you know about, Aaron, but do you know how Street Fighter 4
Yes.
came out? Even though there's a big gap between Street Fighter 3, Alpha, and then to 4.
Yeah.
So the reason that happened is because the people who work at the Video Game History Foundation, they do ports and remasters.
Mm-hmm.
So they did such a faithful remastering and added to the Street Fighter 3 franchise that they went to Capcom and they gave their pitch for Street Fighter 4 to another Street Fighter. They gave their ideas for if they're considering it, and they took their pitch and they made Street Fighter 4. They offered, but they obviously weren't going to give it to an American company, Street Fighter. But they took all of their, like, do you know the painted art style, details like that? You know, like Street Fighter, painted art style, that was all in their pitch.
When was this?
They made Street Fighter, Street Fighter 4 came out in like 2010.
Okay.
Am I right in saying that? Am I wrong? No, it could be 2015 actually.
Oh, really? Soon.
No, I don't know. Street Fighter isn't my franchise, so I don't really know fighting games too well. Fighting games aren't my thing. But the point is that Street Fighter 4 came about because these guys, Frank Cifaldi, he went and they made a remaster. They made a remake. When I say a remaster, they did ports of it and they upgraded the visuals, stuff like that, of the Street Fighter series. And then because of how they did it, they made a Street Fighter 4 because of that. Because they preserved those games.
Yeah.
You got... The franchise continued.
That's
like, that franchise did not continue. And then they continued it because they preserved the games. That they just went and said, okay, so we're going to do these ports of these games and remake them. And then they put them out. And then they decided, oh, because the remakes did so well, the remasters, I keep saying remakes.
Yeah.
I keep flip-flopping between the two. But because they did these remasters so well, there's renewed interest in the franchise. They did very good sales. And so they decided to do Street Fighter 4 because of that. And that's really cool because they went with Street Fighter 5, which was at EVO a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Which imagine that may not have been an EVO if these guys had not preserved those games. Another example is Mega Man 11's coming out.
Yes, it is.
And the only reason Mega Man 11's coming out
Mighty number 9
is because fuck you. Is because these guys were the same guys who did the Mega Man Legacy Collection.
1, the 2?
1 and 2.
Yeah, okay, cool.
They did the Legacy Collection and it sold over 1 million copies, and they got more interest in Mega Man as a franchise that they decided to Mega Man 11 Capcom again.
This is off topic.
They work with Capcom.
But have you seen the Mega Man cartoon, the new one?
New one?
Yeah,
No.
it's terrible. It's like a child show.
Wait, that's the 3D one?
Yeah.
I haven't even tried.
I saw there's a clip of it. It is terrible.
The old one was shit.
It's
as
just
well.
a children's show and has Mega Man in it pretty much.
Oh, cool.
Everything
Yeah,
that's like
back on topic.
based off like that sort of shit kind of goes to hell. Like even the DMC, Devil May Cry.
Yeah.
I mean, shocking.
Really? Yeah.
I watched it as well.
It's just yeah.
No substance.
No. Even the original Mega Man stuff.
Yeah.
Again.
The original cartoon was alright. I enjoyed it.
I suppose everyone's
Mario cartoon
entitled
was
to
great.
your opinion. Sorry, what?
The Mario cartoon was great.
Sonic Boom was amazing.
Luigi.
Bowser stole the princess.
Yeah.
Luigi.
What was that shit?
Hey Luigi.
I've only seen
over.
clips of that.
Come over here, Peach.
Yeah. That's the thing.
Yeah, it is. It's a beautiful thing. Anyway,
On topic.
on topic. Preservation.
On topic of preservation.
Yeah, Luigi. Preservation.
Luigi. I had something I was going to say and I've completely
You
forgot
say
about
it.
Oh no.
I've completely forgot about it.
Oh no.
Oh god.
Oh,
Gary,
wait.
okay.
I have to get back on track. Back on topic.
Get that brain working.
Wait, let me think.
Tidbit, tidbit,
Preservation.
tidbit, tidbit.
Wait, let me see. Let me use the power of tidbit. Power of tidbit. Yeah. So with
It
the
works.
preservation.
Holy shit.
So like with the preservation, how the
We found
preservation.
magic.
We have magic. Wow.
Yeah, go. Don't forget.
With the original retro revival and how we're seeing games like The Messenger, which is an obvious revival, and they have said they got inspiration from Ninja Gaiden and games like that. Which is, again, a Game Boy game, which is very hard to find an original Game Boy game, original Game Boy, and be able to play that. So the only way to find this stuff is through ROM hacks and ROM love and sites like that, to be able to like get ports of these games that are able to work on emulators.
Yeah.
Which also, two of those sites, two of the big ones, ROM hacks and ROM love, have been taken down by Nintendo.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Nintendo like cracked hard on it, and they were just like, yeah, no, and they got rid of them.
Wow.
Which is also like
That's
a blow.
upsetting.
Yeah, it's a blow to the emulator, but it's also technically illegal.
It is, but still.
It's illegal to be able to take their games. Some of the publishers from like long ago have been like now defunct, so some of those stuff is off for grabs. But obviously Nintendo is not.
Yeah.
So that's why it's just because also some of those games that they're doing, like Nintendo are going to be coming out with the Switch Online, like the online service.
What's this?
The online service that it's going to allow cloud saves, and one thing that they're also adding, it's basically like like PlayStation Plus,
Yeah.
Xbox Gold, that kind of like monthly service. It's like that, and what they're also saying with this is that if you get the online, you get 20 NES games.
Okay.
So you get Donkey Kong, you get Super Mario Bros. 3, Super Mario Bros. 1, Dr. Mario, all these games, the Ice Climbers, just classic NES games. So I'd imagine that they are cracking down on these places because, we're going to offer this with our premium online service.
They want their money.
Yeah. They want it. Like, a lot
And
of
you're
it-
going to give it to them, aren't you?
a lot of it's just, of course I am.
course
I'm
you
getting
are.
the family pack, so that. I'm going to get the family pack. But I think these preservations are very important. Because
They
we
are.
should see where we come from and be able to see like how we go from there. Because if you want to know how games were back then, and even now, and in the future, the best way to find out was to go back and find out.
Just time travel.
Like even one game which we have seen, we saw like this year, we saw loads of Metroidvanias.
Yes, we did.
We saw so many. Like
What's Metroidvania?
If we're gonna get the genres, it's something you have to talk about after, just to yourself.
Yeah.
We can do
Just quick synopsis. Metroidvania.
Big map, a lot of backtracking.
Big map, a lot of backtracking. The idea is that when you get certain abilities, you're allowed to go through places that you weren't able to before.
Okay, yeah.
Like for example, Metroid and Castlevania.
Yeah.
So the idea is that you get a health as you go along. Sometimes it might be, there's some games that have it randomized, but most Metroidvanias, the idea is that it's Castlevania / Metroid.
Yeah.
Which is that there's a central map, and then, like in Metroid, there's a central map, and then you branch out from that, but there's some places you can't go through because, the wall's too high.
Yeah, don't have a scale.
But then,
Later on, you can do it.
Okay.
You come back to that spot,
yeah.
you can do it.
So then it's just like, I got these boosts that allow me to jump higher. If I go back to the other room, I can jump up over the wall.
Yeah.
That's a Metroid thing. And then there's also the Castlevania idea is that you're going through like that, and there's a map that sometimes changes, depending.
Like Hogwarts.
Yeah, and there are different maps that you go through, and also you gain health
Literally
as you go
Hogwarts.
through, and also that you're able to kind of upgrade your abilities as you go through.
Good.
So that's what Metroidvania is. That a lot of backtracking, looking at maps, figuring out where you are. Again, it doesn't matter what I say. People who are really into this are going to call me out because Metroidvanias and genres and shit like roguelites and roguelikes and all of
This
that
again.
are just like really
Picky.
nitpicky shit.
Yeah.
But we had stuff like Dead Cells, we had stuff like Hollow Knight. A lot of these games were coming out this year. Chasm was another one. These are games which are inspired by Castlevania Symphony of the Night. A lot of these are. Bloodstained Ritual of the Night was a really big one that was kickstarted, which has been delayed 2 years after they said it was going to be coming out. But
Solid start.
but these are games which are clearly inspired by games that came beforehand, and I don't know how to play a lot of these games. Like apart from like getting ROM hacks and just
That's the only way you
getting
can, really.
emulators is being able to play these games. Like how am I going to be able to get an SNES?
When they released the SNES Mini.
But are they going to? Oh, they already did.
Sorry.
But there's
Never mind this at all.
But again, with these, but they only released like 20 games on it, 21. So like, those 21 games out of the how many games?
It's better than 20 though.
It's definitely bigger than 20.
Yeah, it's better.
It is Aaron's age.
Debatable.
You're 21, aren't you?
Oh yeah.
That's not
Okay,
debatable.
so as
I meant the baby was 21's better than 20.
it releases as many as Aaron. As Aaron has ears.
I'm the babby of this group. Sadly. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah. That is where I wanted to leave this because I could talk about this for another bit.
I think we're good.
Another
A hot tidbit minute.
A hot tid.
Oh,
Just a hot tid.
Hot tid.
hot bit.
Hot tid. Hot tid
Haunted.
is the past tense of hot. It's hotted.
Hotted.
Jesus Christ.
Hotted.
Heated.
A bit tepid.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, tepid. We're going to go back to this, are we?
Tepid.
I feel quite tepid about
This is an
that.
inside joke.
No, it's not. The name of an episode.
Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much for listening to the Tidbit Cast. My name was Gary, and this was
David.
and this was.
Aaron.
And you can find us again on all social media platforms and on most music and podcasting platforms at Tidbitcast.
Soon to be all.
Also,
see.
feel free to get in contact with us at talktotidbit@gmail.com. See you guys.
No.
Bye.